Cheltenham at Boylesports. Bring it on.
Leon Blanche, Boylesports have been involved with some big personalities in racing. What was it about Joseph O'Brien that attracted Boylesports to him?
I just think everything about him, Johnny, his attitudes towards being successful. He's very driven, and he kind of replicates our own brand. We are a young challenger brand, not so much in Ireland, but certainly if we want to go further afield. And I think with his heritage, his parents, his grandparents, he's just steeped in racing history, and it's great to be associated with a young man like Joseph at the very early stages of his career.
And he's a gentleman to deal with from a journalist perspective. How have you found him so far?
Oh, I mean, he's been 100%. Anything we've asked of Joseph, he's given it to us, and he's given it to us in abundance. You couldn't ask for more, and he just wants to please. And I think if you look at the setup here and everything about him just is geared towards success. So for Boylesports to be associated with such a young Irish trainer, we are an Irish brand and we're very proud to be Irish. So I think it's important for us to remember our roots, and great to be associated with Joseph.
And he's become associated with JP McManus now, going back as far as Ivanovic Gorbatov last season. That must have been a popular one for punters.
Yeah, it was a popular one for punters. I think everyone knew the better ground would suit him. He went to the Triumph, and it was a tremendous achievement for Joseph. Although the horse wasn't down in his name because he didn't have the licence, everyone knew he was training the horse, and for him to win the Triumph Hurdle was a great achievement. This year he's obviously up against the older, more experienced horses, so it's been a tough year. But I think if you look at the County Hurdle or the Coral Hurdle, he's around about a 14-1 chance. I think, Johnny, if the ground came up good for either of those races, whichever one he goes in, we're non-runner, no bet now anyway, so you don't have a risk. I think he could run a big race at those odds.
And Ed Wolf perhaps going for the National Hunt Chase, the 4-miler. He could be one of the most popular horses of the week, potentially. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I was at Naas, as you were yourself, on Sunday, and he jumped extremely well. I thought Puppy Power gave him an exemplary ride. He's a shorter price for the National Hunt Chase, around about 7 or 8-1. But I wouldn't rule out maybe the RSA either, over 3 miles. I mean, he won over 2.5 on Sunday, so he's a bigger price for the RSA. But he's definitely a horse that I think Joseph has a fondness for, and if he turns up at Cheltenham, he certainly wouldn't be one that you could write off.
Tell us about your other Joseph O'Brien related prices for Cheltenham Festival.
Well, he's 7-4, the trainer winner. I think he'll probably have a team of 4 or 5. I think the 2 horses that we've mentioned, Ivanovic Gorbatov and Ed Wolf, will be up there. Don't forget Land of Hope and Glory too. You know, he was very impressive at the start of this campaign. He had a little bit of a break. He came back there on heavy ground, which wouldn't have suited him. Again, I think ground dependent. If Land of Hope and Glory was running in the Triumph or the Fred Winter, probably be the Triumph. If it was good ground, he could run a big race too. So, and he'll have a couple of other runners as well. So we're hoping, he is our horse racing ambassador, so we'd love for Joseph to have a winner at the 2017 Cheltenham Festival. But there's an awful lot of racing too. When we come back after Cheltenham, we've got Aintree, we've got Fairyhouse, we've got the Boylesports Irish Grand National. Maybe Ed Wolf might turn up in that, you'd never know. And then of course we have the Punchestown Festival. So and the beauty about being associated with someone like Joseph is it's not just about the National Hunt. We've also got him for the flat, and as we saw here this morning, he's got the guts of 52-year-olds, so you know, regally bred. So we're bound to see Joseph in the winner's enclosure many times this year.
While you're here, there's been a lot of brouhaha about Gigginstown taking their horses out of the English National, but the flip side of that is it's going to be an incredibly strong Boylesports Irish National, and that's something that must excite you as well, if given that you've become so deeply involved in what is now 500,000 race.
Yeah, I think, Johnny, this will be our 4th year. We're signed on for another 3 years, so 4, 5 and 6, and I think it was imperative to us as sponsor to make the Boylesports Irish Grand National the richest jumps race in Ireland. It only falls behind the Gold Cup now and the English National. As you said, it's worth 500,000. I think the winner now gets €275,000. So we're sure that there's bound to be an abundance of entries today, which was the closing date for the entries, the 1st of March. And I think we'll see a big influx of not only Irish runners, but I think the UK trainers will be looking at this race now. It's a lot of money, 275,000. And you're right, the likes of Don Poley, Outlander, not going for the English National, they're bound to turn up in Fairyhouse, because why would you not run them when it's worth that type of money? So for us, it's great. We took on the Irish National. I think we've made it a better race. I think whenever Boylesports get behind a sponsorship, we do throw a lot of money at it, and we try and make it as best as we can. And we think this year, and in the preceding years, in the years to come, we'll definitely see a great calibre of horse lining up in the Boylesports Irish National.
Bet €10 with Boyle Sports today and get €30 in free bets. Cheltenham at Boyle Sports. Bring it on.